Boo! Are you scared? You should be. Welcome to episode 103 of the Strip Poker Night at the Inventory podcast, where we will be covering the 2024 Halloween event and various other game goings-on. That's not why you should be scared, though. I'm your host, spnanon, here with my regular co-host, Nord. Say hi.
Oh, Jesus, you scared me there. Hello, everyone, it's me again. Unfortunately, I'm still not a ghost. Yet. I'm working on it.
We all are. And we also have our returning guest here with us, WibblyWarble, creator of many projects. He hasn't been on in about 2 years and change, so better than Cool Cat, who was on last time. But ever since October 2022, it looks like. So episode 62, SPNatI the Abridged series was his last appearance. So he's here with us now, and he indeed showed up to record at the scheduled time with all the characters tested and ready to go. That's what happened.
I am back from the dead.
Yes, and well, I guess you have kind of dipped here and there in and out of the community at various points in time. But what have you worked on for this game? You have been around for a while.
Megumin was my very first project, and that was that was just my first foray, and I worked on that for a long time. And then
as part of the first Masquerade.
Yeah, that was part of the Masquerade, and everyone thought I was someone else because how much I wrote for the character. No one realized I was a complete new person. And then my most recent thing was with Darkness, kind of finally filling out the party for Konosuba. So, yeah, that was a long time coming.
Yes, Darkness actually hit the game quite a while ago, like the game files, but Aqua from Konosuba kind of lapped her as she was taking a break.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've brought Wibbly on. One, it's always good to see him, and two, next episode we will actually be talking about Darkness's reaching main roster. So look forward to that. But as I said before, this is going to be a quick, almost little bonus episode where we talk about the Halloween event, the Halloween skins. We did get a decent little crop of them. Before we do that, though, we have the host Shilling corner, which I don't personally have anything to show because we're about to basically talk about it, what I've been working on anyway. But Nord, do you have anything?
There is something to talk about, a bit of behind-the-scenes technical changes, and some changes you'll actually notice in-game. Reform Copyright, one of our coders, has overhauled how the dialogue log works. This is a little feature in-game that lets you go back to an earlier point in the game in case you had a bit of dialogue or a pose you wanted to grab a screenshot of. It works a fair bit better now. It works a lot more consistently, especially given how complicated character files are getting these days with costumes and layer skipping and custom poses and pose sets and so on. Just needed a bit of a touch-up. He's also added auto-advance features into the in-game UI as well. This was originally sort of tucked away in the game settings, but now there's a couple of buttons you can use to automatically advance the game whenever you're eliminated, shall we say. I do have a little bit of feedback on this. Personally, I did get to see this in some of my test games. I think the white flash effect is a bit too intense now. The way it was before, it was just a white flash across the screen that was still underneath the UI of the characters. But now it's a full screen flashbang, essentially. And personally, I would like to see it have the sort of old flash behavior where it isn't quite as intense and doesn't conceal the UI. But did either of you notice those changes in game?
No, because I never lose.
I noticed. You could probably also do a gradient on it of like with the white to make it not as intense, I imagine. Probably a circular gradient.
Maybe. It should be possible. It is a HTML and JavaScript game held
Yeah.
together with hopes and dreams.
I heard that the effect is quite distracting and a bit disconcerting. But
there is also a pulsing effect that's also in white that like leads up to your climax. So that is a little bit distracting. The main thing that distracted me is that just as a psychological thing, I expected the arrows at the bottom, which just speed up how long each round takes. I almost expected that to control how intense the pulsing effect is. So that might be another change as well. I don't know.
When you say intense, do you mean the speed of it alongside it, or?
Yeah, the speed of it.
Yeah.
They like match the game speed you're going for.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of that effect, maybe it's worth reconsidering in the first place. I mean, I imagine that's pretty much been in the game since its inception. It's just a simple white flash, which is something I criticize when it happens in an epilogue. And it's like, well, why not have like an actual animation where like some cum flies out or something? And then not only that, you would have like a default like solid like cum asset that people could use in their epilogues. It's visually consistent.
An interesting suggestion with just two minor drawbacks. One, I think that would look hilariously bad. And two, would that really apply for a female player as well?
Well, make like droplets or something. I don't see why that would look so bad. It would just like, I don't know. I mean, if you have a good enough animation, it would just like fade away. It'd be like any epilogue.
Yeah, you could probably have it change based on the player's choices on their character in that regards. But
you could choose like the volume.
Yeah. Sorry, my mouth's dry. I tried making up sport noise, but never mind.
Apart from the UI changes and the changes to the dialogue log, we do have something brand new to announce. We're going to be doing... Yes?
Let's talk a bit more about like the actual auto advance that was implemented.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a snafu. Remember, it broke the game. It's one of those for about 12 to 24 hours roughly, and Reform Copyright did not seem aware of that until I pinged him for it. I would have done it sooner. I thought he was aware of it. Apparently, it was like a simple one character typo, like an I where there should have been a 1 or something.
It'll always get you.
Yes, it was that... well, this is getting very technical, but it was an array that was looking for the player in position 1 rather than player in position I, with I being a variable. So it was basically always checking to see what was going on with player in slot 1, aka the first non-player character from the left. So that's why people were sometimes getting the game to work and sometimes not, depending on how many characters they had.
Other than that, I think it was a pretty simple implementation, right? It's just I think some kind of auto advance already existed, but now you can like control the speed more because a lot of people just don't want to like do a bunch of clicking at the end of the game where there's nothing left to do but finish, so to speak.
Yeah.
And a lot of characters' dialogue does kind of get repetitive with how many cases that can play for, especially if they lose early. So always fill out more lines in that chunk of the game.
The end is like the end stages are always like my priority to try to get rid of the monotony, but it is a lot.
But now we can go ahead. This is something a brand new event. We're talking about the Halloween event this time around. And of course, with these events, basically, the game is all. Whenever we have these events, it's basically shorthand for a bunch of characters get alt skins. If developers feel like making them, that's the whole point of them. We've had this sort of status quo for a while now. We've had Valentine's, we've had Easter, we've had summer, which is basically swimsuits, Halloween, Christmas. I believe that's all of them, right? And for years now. April Fools as well, but that's sort of a different thing. So for years now, it's basically been that lineup, but there have been rumblings of another, sort of spread throughout the year because we couldn't really think of a better place to put it because like there's been outfits throughout the years that sort of follow a general theme, specifically sleepwear, that were kind of either evergreen alts or just kind of shoved into some other event where it's only like tangentially related. So this is something I personally browbeat Nord over and the other mods to just make a decision and actually announce it proper. So I would, because they were kind of going back and forth. It's like, we don't have enough outfits to formally introduce this, but like maybe if we did, people would make some more. So they were kind of umming and erring about it. And eventually they did just formally announce a sleepover event. So all these sleepwear and pajamas alts will actually finally get a home. And again, like I said, spread throughout the year. And related to the host Shilling Corner, that's what I've been working on for the past couple weeks is giving Maya and Jura sleepover alts, which we'll probably be able to talk about I'd say in the next batch of 2 episodes that we record, because it'll probably be up and running by then, and those should be complete. And obviously that's why I cared in the first place. I wouldn't have pressured them to announce this if they didn't have any canon pajamas, but they do. But Nord, I will now let you explain what the actual implementation has been, or will be.
Yes. So because you kept on pestering me about it, I did eventually decide, you know what, we're doing this end of November, get your costumes ready. And then you did say back to me, Nord, I asked you for 2 months notice. You've given me 1 month notice. What the fuck, man? I did mean to announce it sooner, but I had a lot going on and got, I just plumb forgot to formally work it out with the other mods to make sure, should it be in November, and then announce it. So
it's a race against time. I've dropped everything else.
Yeah. There's a couple of costumes already merged into the game. I myself am basically in the middle of doing an outfit for Mia from Golden Sun. Just a very simple, sleeping dress that you can actually see in her epilogue for male players. It's just a very simple out, a chance to let her hair down. But for the event itself, the whole point of it is that it's going to be not like the other events that are scheduled in 2-week blocks on specific times of the year. The sleepover event is still going to add up to 14 days total, like the other events except April Fools. But in terms of when it's scheduled, it's going to, the way I envision it is that it'll be split into 3 mini events that are 5, and 4 days long. This first one for November is going to be a little bit longer. It'll be 1 week long. So anyone who does get a costume in early will get a bit of extra highlighting this year, or for this first showing of the event. After that, out the exact dates for it, but I did make a proposed calendar for it. If Solitaire wants to include it, it is a bit arbitrary, but I tried to squeeze in the event, grouping it up. And this is my first draft of it, where it was 3-day blocks, but that ended up feeling a bit too difficult to sell to people. Oh, you can catch it for these 5 weekends throughout the year. Better hope you don't miss it. The whole point of it is just it's a smaller event. People can contribute to it throughout the year, and then you don't have to wait a whole year for your work to be shown off again. And gives you a chance to do something quite different with your character, I would say. Because really, before, the only other event this would have fit in with would be Halloween, or if you really wanted Christmas.
So what's the 5, 4, and 4 that you've settled on?
We haven't. That's the main thing. We haven't settled on it yet. What I would think is that 5 days would be between May and June, and maybe end of September, and then November could be a little 4-day event because it's between Halloween and Christmas.
Yeah, I know you're mostly considering any place that's like kind of a big holiday dead zone. Or like event dead zone. So like early in the summer, May and June don't really have anything going on because the swimsuits are in July. And then towards the end of the year, like August and September don't really have anything. November doesn't have anything. Maybe March.
I think maybe looking at this, making it the last weekend of a month might be too hard to keep track of in code. So maybe it would be like the last 5 days of May, September, and November.
Oh, we got a 15-day thing going on.
Oh no, 4 days in November still.
Wibbly, do you have any opinion on where it should be set?
Not particularly. I'm just, as long as it's a time slot where the most people can be able to have a chance to participate in it. It's I really like the designs that have come out so far. So I do like the idea of finding a dead zone and keeping it more open for participation, like lengthwise.
I've laid my cards on the table already, as if anyone didn't know what they are. It's going to be Maya and Jura. But Wibbly, Nord, do you have any plans to add sleepover alts? I mean, I know Nord does, but can you explain what they will be?
And here I had my money on Videl and Revi.
Oh.
I can show you Mia's one, and by showing it off on the podcast, hopefully I'll stop procrastinating and finish the rest of the poses for it. But here's Mia's one. I could come up with some for my other characters. I like the idea of putting Zeke and Pandoria in more outfits. If I felt really ambitious, I'd do one for Dunban as well, but his model is rather difficult to use. Wibbly, if you could give sleepover costumes to anyone, your own characters or otherwise, who would it be?
Megumin. Megumin has no costumes, and I would love to get one for some point. But I have no skills in Kisekai, so unfortunately I need the kindness of strangers at some point.
I was going to say, I don't think any of your work really has event alt skins except for
Megu, which was my pinnacle of artistic capabilities. And surprisingly was harder to implement than I thought, because MS Paint images, or images in general that are kind of getting them aligned properly and sized properly, took a trial and error to figure out. But yeah, love me some Megu. But yeah, I definitely would love to get some costumes, or at least a costume on one or both of my characters. But I need to commission someone to help out at some point with that.
Anything else that either of you would like to mention about the upcoming Sleepover event, which we will surely discuss in a future episode, as well as the new UI changes?
I don't think so, apart from the fact that there is pretty much one background we're going to choose for it, and that's the feminine bedroom background. If anyone felt like contributing a male bedroom background that has a gamer PC and stuff in the background, that would be funny and a nice change.
It would be kind of cool to have I don't know if any of the characters do this already, but it would be cool if there was also on the side during the event, if anyone wanted to have their characters a unique set of dialogue, if everyone is in one of them, that it's actually like a sleepover.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
I maintain that the male gamer bedroom is just it's just behind the player, every player of this game.
True.
It taps into your webcam and gets a video feed of the room behind you.
There you go.
OMG, a girl in my bedroom? Speaking of scary situations, it's time to cover the 6 alt costumes that we got for the 2024 Halloween event. Half of which, Just Kidding, is responsible for. So one wonders why we didn't invite him. He's just been on too much, okay? I've been grooming him to be Nord's successor when I decide Nord has outlived his usefulness. And I think we'll do... we'll discuss those 3 first. Just Kidding is very industrious. He has many characters, and he's given many of them alt skins in many different events. And in this case, he's given alt costumes to Maria, Sofia, and Roll. So we'll start off with those 3. So this is going to be a little quicker for each of these than usual for like a brand new character that we talk about. But Wibbly, you'll give your thoughts first, and then Nord, and then me. Even if you didn't get a chance to play with all of these alt skins, if you could at least talk about the artwork is obviously the main change that goes into these alt skins, so you could talk about that. This is Sadistic Succubus.
Yeah.
Maria, which is a description that could easily fit her default skin, but okay.
First off, always a fan of a good Succubus. That's just goes without saying. So I have thumbs up for me with Maria. I'm not that familiar with the franchise she's from. I just know her from character-wise in this. So I don't know if if it's just for fun or if there's a specific call out to that or something. But I do really like it.
I did look into this. I don't think there's anything in source that indicates her dressing it up or becoming a literal succubus.
Well, if you recall, I believe he had like a tiny, grainy, like 5 pixel wide inspiration for her Halloween alt skin in some promotional art. So we're already kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I mean, her summer one, wasn't it?
Summer, it might have been summer.
Either way, looks good.
Does look good. I even noticed, on this pose, some extra detail work, some gradients on her wings and the womb tattoo that she's got.
Yeah.
Nord, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. Surprisingly, doesn't make her any more friendly towards you or other characters, but definitely a very spicy, costume change. There's a lot of different things going on here compared to her default. Like, she takes her stuff off in a different order. She has a few hints of being just an actual succubus now, like this pose here, where she has, succubus powers to remove her choker. The quite obvious tattoo as well. It's pretty interesting. I think it was. I could definitely feel that you had a lot of fun making this one. Oh, hard to see in game. She's also got fangs as well. That's a cool detail.
I didn't notice that.
Oh. Okay, it looks like she gets functionally naked very quickly and leaves the other stuff on.
Nice. That's always fun.
You like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice deviation. That's kind of interesting.
You'd think she'd do like a Black Widow thing, right? I guess the succubus is a pretty similar idea, but I imagine if you got the chance to screw Maria, if she did actually allow that to happen, she would eat you shortly afterwards.
Praying mantis style, except life force, I guess, instead.
Praying mantis would be like mid-act.
Eating your head, yeah.
Yeah. But, and you would be praying to her. Wibbly, did you write any, dialogue between Darkness and Maria? That seems like it'd be fun.
I have not really, and that would be a lot of fun. For me, mostly, I love doing targets with anyone. It just depends on their availability and that I'm not on a short break or something. But I would love to do targets with that, with Maria.
I can imagine her getting very frustrated at Darkness trying to fill the role that she perceives as being for men.
Darkness frustrates a lot of people.
This is unfortunately the one out of these 6 alt skins that I did not get a chance to play with. I figured that Just Kidding would understand that 2 out of 3 ain't bad with regards to his work. But I do really like Maria, and this is clearly some, I want to say, nice work. Like, this actually doesn't look too complicated of a costume. This looks like, outside of some detailing, it looks like a lot of Kisuke defaults. The clothing and the ribbons around her legs and her arms and the stockings and gloves, and there's nothing too crazy going on here, but there are really nice details with the strip order and the fangs and the gradients, and it comes together pretty well. It is kind of, it is kind of weird to like make her like even more evil when she was already pretty evil and cruel. I wonder if what if you could have like an alt skin that's just her and she's actually nice the whole time?
That would be pretty funny.
The top she's wearing and the spiked belt she's wearing, none of it's very deep. Or the spiked collar she's wearing, none of it's particularly like complex, but it shows like even with just a couple of details, you can make a costume that really sells what it's going for.
Mm-hmm. It's nice. Yeah, I guess the thing with a personality change, it's one thing to change the art, but as we're actually going to discuss I'm going to discuss in some of the later costumes, I guess trying to do a whole personality change in an alt costume is a pretty chaotic effort.
Yeah.
Considering the existence of targets.
Exactly.
But is there anything else that you'd like to say about Maria, Sadistic Succubus?
I'd hit it and none of you could stop me.
Yeah, pretty much.
She would stop you.
True.
All right, then. Next, we have the second of Just Kidding's 3 alt skins. We have, as we know, the most terrible, bullshit, awful character to ever exist with this fucking garbage, low-effort, piece of shit costume. Sofia Turnip lies. I was going to point out that all that text that I just said is in orange, and I made that exact joke with her at some point, probably when she hit testing in the meantime. If so, if I don't have any new jokes, well, neither does she, really. She's still doing her shtick. Even with this is a Sofia from Rune Factory 3, and I guess dressed up as this monster that Nord posted, which I'm going to guess is from
Onion Ghost.
Is from Rune Factory 3? Is this the Great Pumpkin?
Turnip Ghost.
Yeah, this is the one from Rune Factory 3. It's called an Onion Ghost.
And not a turnip?
No.
Or is that the joke? Is that it's an onion? She calls it
That's
a turnip.
why it's a lie. A lie. The wiki called it an onion.
Gotcha.
And as we always know, fan wikis are never wrong.
Never wrong.
This is pretty nice as something a little bit different from just like the typical like sexy demon or succubus kind of costumes that Halloween characters often have, because this is more like fall related. There is, it is a bit of a jack-o'-lantern looking kind of thing, but it's brighter. It's the patchwork quilt sort of aesthetic, which also fits her fascination with trash, because it does look pretty
Bowie.
shabby. Very naturalistic. She's got like plants all over herself. It's very green. It's very fall themed. So I appreciate that. It's something that's actually worth or on theme for just November in general and not just Halloween.
There is one little detail that if I point it out, we'll never be able to unsee.
No.
And it's that the leaf ribbons are finally being used for their actual purpose of being leaves.
Oh yeah,
True.
They've been used for everything else. I don't know, Leafy probably used them.
Yeah, I could see that.
Nor Leafy was before your time.
Yeah.
I know of Leafy. About Sofia, though, one
Speaking of breaking
detail I
the game,
love.
Leafy also did that.
Yeah.
Wibbly, what did you think of Sofia Turnip Lies?
I agree with first off with what you said, in the sense that it's kind of like, as nice as the other stuff is, it is kind of cool to see something a little different. And me being a big fan of monsters, not in that way, but like the actually like creepy stuff for fun. Like I like designing monsters, and I would totally love to have a mask like that. But yeah, no, I think it's nice. I'm not as familiar. I saw what Nord posted as well. I'm not as familiar with the source material, but that little onion ghost thing looks like someone I would want to hang out with.
The detail I love about the mask is that you can see her mouth and all of her expressions through it.
That is true, because it allows you to like do that, like have a mask but still like not lose expressiveness.
Yeah, I didn't mention it, but yeah, that's kind of the big thing with this costume is that her actual shtick, her dialogue isn't really any different. She still says the opposite of what she means in orange fall-themed text, but yeah, she leaves this jack-o'-lantern turnip thing on her head for most of the game, and it's I think she does take it off at some point.
I love her runny mascara look.
Yeah.
It's like got that Halloween vibe even after the mask is gone.
Yeah, and I just noticed her eyes are even a different color and don't have the same shine to them.
Very dull and yandere-ish.
Oh, I don't think even I noticed that. I mean, yeah, their eyes change color.
Yeah, her eyes are normally purple, but here they're a duller yellow color, and I say duller because they don't have the eye shine in them, like deliberately. And the whites in her eyes are even darker as well.
Yeah, her original eyes were still not super shiny, but they had at least a little more shine to them.
You have anything else to add, Nord?
That's all. So Sofia's very cute no matter what costume she's in. I say that, and this is like her only alt costume. But yeah, I like it quite a bit. It's a nice reference to the series. I'm sure any Rune Factory fans were jumping and cheering when they saw this.
This is for you, Rune Factory fans.
So yeah, I would like to praise that that sort of makeup, that face paint that she's got going on as well, makes her look a little creepy, a little monstrous, even once the turnip is off of her head. I guess she learned from Nephany, right? She held on to that headgear as long as possible.
Take the mask off. Put it back on. Put it back on. Looks like she'll kill you at some point.
This is something I'm going to bring up with our next character as well, Roll. But I played them together, and they did. He does a very good job writing a lot of banter between his characters. But that means that if she has any like changed generic dialogue for her alt skin, I didn't really see it because they mostly just spoke to each other the whole time. And the gimmick itself, her always talking in reverse, does kind of make it hard for her to convey the purpose of the alt, like what's actually going on. Like I didn't know it was a monster from from the actual game. That said, though, I did like the nice quilt patterning, the patchwork stuff on the costume. Well, it's not quite a pumpkin head, but the turnip head. The agricultural motif and how it's very uniquely fall and autumn-ish, and not just Halloween.
Yeah, very fitting for the game as well in that regards.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all in all, orange text fucking sucked. In black text, the butt pose, very good.
Yes.
All right. Now to finish off our trifecta of just kidding material, I gave you a little sneak preview. It is probably the most ambitious this whole year, it can be argued, but I'd say probably the biggest change to a character's art. It is Roll Caskett from Mega Man Legends, Mechanical Mechanic. I still need to do my due diligence and actually play Mega Man Legends. I don't know if this is a reference to any kind of robot design in the game. I'm sure there's many of them. But yeah, this is like a full-on robotic Roll. As far as I can tell, it's not Roll dressing up as a mechanical version of herself. It just seems to be like a mechanical version of her. Origins unknown. But she has like a whole arc throughout the game of like self-actualization, like gaining sentience. she starts off very like formal and like completely stone faced and just like running protocol and data analysis, and then she starts talking more and more like her original self. Maybe she was roboticized in the Sonic crossover comic. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but Wibbly, what did you think of her?
First off, I love the completely useless skirt. It kind of made me chuckle a bit, but yeah, no, very ambitious with like the whole like story stuff. That's as we talked about, like doing not just the costume, but doing like unique dialogue beyond like a couple lines for a costume is not necessarily the easiest task. I also want to throw out there, based on like something you said just a bit ago before we talked about role, but like having dialogue like lots of really good dialogue interactions between your own characters is harder than it sounds. So definitely props with that as well. Although I know spnanon here would probably be like, what are you talking about? I love just, there's so a lot of detail, there's so many changes. The eyes are a really cool touch. Like the digital eyes, I think those are so like cool looking. You got the like moments where there's like little steam or something hissing out. It's just very, very well done.
I noticed her, about the eyes, I noticed them change throughout the game. They become hearts for some poses, which is a nice detail. In general, it's a very cool, like I couldn't find anything referencing this being a source thing either, like just from a quick search. So I have to assume this is just a fan interpretation of role as a actual robot and not, what is it, Reploid?
Yeah, Reploid.
Well, by the time of Mega Man Legends, even Reploids are dead and buried and kind of outmoded. And
I only know like some lore from specific games, so I had no idea.
I mean, Roll herself is already kind of a robot. They're like carbons, which are some kind of a combination of human and, you're not quite human and not quite robot.
When I look at the hat, I can't stop seeing like a robot parasite on her head.
Looking at what?
The hat for this costume, I can't stop seeing a robot parasite sitting on her head.
That's your monster mind at work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Looks like a Pokemon.
I could be in a couple years.
Nice job on the doll joints and the especially the butt pose. You can see the butt unit slotted into the legs. So yeah, she is just supposed to be a straight up robot. So yeah, neat idea, very ambitious, but I do kind of wonder if the whole like self-actualization thing that she goes through was partially to avoid going all the way with changing her dialogue completely to be robotic, because it's not really feasible or worth the effort to change all of her targets as well. Because whenever she's supposed to like gradually progress more and more and being just like regular old girly Roll. But whenever she spoke to Sofia in my game, she suddenly just reverted to that straight up. So you can only take it so far and have it really be worth it.
Yeah.
That being said, though, the visuals were great, and I like, and it's impressive how it's reflected in the posing as well, not just in the visuals. You mentioned like steam and etc. And of course the eyes, and it's courageous. It might be the most courageous of all of these alt skins.
I think it's a very well realized idea. I know how difficult it is to actually have a costume like completely overhaul the dialogue, because as soon as you're like 10 cases in, you realize, oh god, I don't actually have the motivation to go all the way with this.
Oh yeah.
At least from my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be tough.
But I definitely think this is a well realized idea.
She's had to realize it herself. I quite like her, though. A lot of the cuteness of standard Roll still shines through in her trying to figure out why she suddenly has feelings and a beating heart. Okay. We are done with the Just Kidding block, and now it's time for the back half. 3 alt skins, all made by different creators for different characters. So first off, kicking things off by Lil David, we have Boo! Are you scared? I hope so, because that's how she introduces herself when you select her. Probably the most, speaking of UI changes, this is probably the most interesting one and creative. She has a specific asset for this where she really, you click on her, she gets right in your face. It's Kyouko Toushino, who's dressed up as a Jongshi.
Kyonshi, Kyouko, or Kyonshi.
I think that's how you say it. She basically, it's the Chinese vampire. It's Chaozu.
Chinese vampire jumping zombie thing.
Right. With the, if you've ever seen like it's got like the tag on their forehead.
And their arms are always out like front and they're very stiff.
Right. That's what's going on. It's a possession thing basically. But of course this is Kyouko. So she's just fucking around. That's her whole thing. She decides she's going to prank you when you select her, and she's just fucking around the whole game as well. You'll see that a bit later on. Well, I guess I could just post it now because like she's still just having a good time. Like when you strip her down, she's got another tag underneath. That's her idea of panties. Lil David has always found ways to be super creative and fun with this character and really convey her fun-loving personality. But Wibbly, what did you think of Kyouko Toushino? Actually, it's, what is it? Spooky Halloween? No, just Halloween. Or what is the name of the costume?
Its name is Kyonshi Kyouko.
Okay.
So close. First off, the jump scare thing is absolutely hilarious, and very unique in that regards. I've actually had thoughts before about like whether I should have like a pose where Megman shoots off an explosion in the distance or something like that, but that would be there would be a lot of logistics with that. But I think the choice of costume fits the character really, really well, because I could see it just being an excuse to like hop around and be ridiculous. And I feel like that fits the character really well, just in general. It's kind of fun, very good energy with it. It just feels, everything about it feels like a really good fit to Kyouko.
Okay, this is unrelated, but have you ever played like a lot of like different Dragon Ball games, like, you know, Budokai and Tenkaichi and everything? Is really. Like you fire off an ultimate and it like destroys the stage. What if Megami did that?
So yeah, I was thinking it would be funny
she explodes the background and then it like changes.
Turns West City into West City Destroyed, like in Fighter Z.
There are so many characters that are like, there's no way you can do an explosion and stuff. And I just feel like at one point it'd be funny if she's like, okay, enough, and she explodes something and just collapses on the ground. But anyway.
More feasible than you think.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I might consider it at some point then. But yeah, no, this is just absolutely, I mean, I love the character to begin with. I love that kind of energy with characters that you can kind of tell with the characters I write. I love like over the top energy in general. It's a lot of fun. And so Kyouko is a lot of fun in general too.
I laughed a fair bit at this reveal when her
second tag.
When her what do you call them?
Spirit tags, I think.
No, like the fucking the sweatpants is what I fucking meant.
Oh.
When those come off, she reveals this, and I actually laughed at it so much.
Yeah.
It's a very good costume. I like it a fair bit. You can tell David just had a lot of fun making it as well.
For those curious, I believe the tag on her head says comic and then like Yuri princess or something. It's not like literal. It's like a metaphorical. Yeah, it's some kind of like metaphorical saying, I think, in terms of like, because it doesn't literally it translates to like Yuri. It doesn't translate to like lesbianism, which would be like Jose, Dose, Aisha or something really clunky. And then on her crotch it says rum raisin, which I don't know what that's a reference to.
That's funny.
Yeah, the jump scare is creative. The strip order and the visuals like that tag on her crotch are very memorable. I love how she still does like twirls and stuff when she's stripping. This is a character I don't play with very much because I tend to prefer more serious characters, and I'm not like super attracted to her just physically. Because I've kind of gone into how she still seems kind of young to me, but I will always praise the effort Will David puts into this character and how much fun he's having with her whenever he does put out content for her, and how he goes the extra mile. And it's a good reminder of her robustness and the all the zany and quirky personality traits that she has, and how she's keeping you guessing constantly in the game itself. How she half the time she's bluffing, half the time she's like, "Oh my god!" And then she has like a full house. It's like, and that's what I would have said if I had bad cards, shit like that. She's always messing with you. Was it rum raisin ume?
Yeah, I think that was her favorite ice cream or something in this anime.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be.
I watched it a long time ago, so I don't remember all the details.
Did she put ice cream on her pussy? Does it taste like rum raisin?
No idea.
I think it would melt pretty quickly.
I guess you could say you are what you eat, so who knows?
I did love how she said like she was getting kind of bored with the whole Jiangxi shtick halfway through. It's like, my arms are getting tired. I don't want to hold them out anymore.
That's also very much a Kyouko thing.
Yeah, just losing interest halfway through.
In my game, I noticed she said she was getting annoyed with the tag being in front of her eyes.
I mean, yeah, that probably would fuck with your depth perception and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything else to say about Kyouko?
Very cute, very fun, and I appreciate the attention to detail with giving Yui adult costume as well. I don't know if Yui appears outside of a joke she has if you paired Kyouko with Yuno, but that would honestly make it even funnier that David went through that effort.
The other Kyouko from Danganronpa did not get an alt skin, so this Kyouko is currently in the lead for anyone keeping score. Actually, she's in the lead by quite a bit. But next up, we have a character that I don't believe, Nord, you had any part in the creation of this alt skin, did you? Just the base character.
You're completely and utterly wrong. I made this costume entirely.
Okay, that's news to me.
Well, art-wise.
That doesn't surprise me, actually, because you did all the art for Jenna from Golden Sun in the first place. Mentioned Mia earlier for a potential sleepover alt, and here's Jenna for the Halloween alt. So I'm sorry for completely disrespecting you like that. I should have known. I should have known that you'd have your hands. We can't get through an episode without you having your hands in something. This is Red Mage Jenna from Golden Sun. Again, she's sort of the main girl from, I think, the main love interest from Golden Sun. And here she is dressed as a red mage. My immediate question...
Final Fantasy, right?
My immediate question is, do red mages exist in Golden Sun? Because, like, I thought the whole thing was that you can only have one kind of synergy.
Actually, a major game mechanic is being able to mix and match your Jin to swap classes. So, like, if you have all Mars Jin, you're like one of the pure Mars element classes, but then you can get all of these sort of mixed classes that have access to different kinds of synergy for status effects or different types of healing or revival.
It's a very interesting game mechanic.
Yeah, Red Mage is not one of those classes, but thematically, Mars synergy user, Red Mage, you know.
And I mean, it's also just super stylish. I mean, that's kind of why you pick Red Mages in Final Fantasy, just for the pimp hat, the drip.
And I mean, that's basically why I chose this as the costume idea. It looked really stylish, and I thought it would look good on Jenna.
It does.
Is there any insight you can give into the creation process? Was this like a pretty quick job? Like, I didn't see you post about it. I guess that's why I didn't know you made it.
Yes, I kept on procrastinating and had to cram this and the next costume we're going to talk about into the space of about a week and a half. I crunched for this, and I apologize to Soulheart for not leaving him much time to write unique dialogue before the event. I hope he can forgive me.
She also seems she has like she has different underwear, kind of a nice detailing on the boobs, specifically like how the bra holds them, but it does kind of look like a bikini.
I did start to think that when I was halfway through posing those stages, but I figured, it's different, it's stylish, it's sexy. I think it works.
I know she still goes bottomless, although it's technically like kind of a different strip order, right? Because she goes bottomless even with her sweater still on in the base skin.
Yes,
right,
because in the base costume she doesn't have a bra.
Is that it? Okay.
So in this one, you get to see more of her skin earlier.
So a lot of like the basic layer structure hasn't really changed then.
No.
Wibbly, what did you think of Red Mage, Jenna?
I had a quick question, because one thing I noticed, and I can't tell if it's a trick of the eye due to the difference between the dull color tones and the vibrant color tones, or what. When I look at it, the hair looks like there's like a slightly, brighter, kind of fiery look to it as well. And I can't tell if that was like a deliberate change or if my eyes are playing tricks on me.
I think your eyes are playing tricks on you because I didn't touch the hair.
Yeah, that's probably just the adjacent colors causing that effect visually. As spnanon mentioned, stylish as fuck. Very cool. And it's kind of very got that kind of suave Robin Hood / mage vibes. I'm not super familiar with Final Fantasy, but I know it enough to know like visually what the Red Mage looked like and some of the other basic classes. I played Golden Sun a long time ago. I didn't ever finish it, unfortunately, so I didn't. So I don't remember as much with the characters. But was there something very specific besides just the suaveness or the cool costume that made you decide to pick that specifically for her?
It's a bit of a weird tangent, but essentially, when I helped redo Monika's summer costume, I spoke to Vision, who I think did the original version of it, and he revealed to me that the original design was actually from a character called Springfield. I think it was from Girls Frontline. I'm just going to double check that real quick.
So considering she has the name of a gun, I could see that definitely being Girls Frontline. Right.
Yeah, Springfield from Girls Frontline. So
I think we talked about this on the summer episode.
Yes, go check that episode out if you're curious to learn my thoughts on that. But that sort of opened my mind or it opened my willingness to making costumes that are just references to other source material entirely. And so I spitballed a couple of ideas with Soulheart, and we very quickly decided, let's go for the Red Mage design just because it fucks, honestly.
Yeah. And plus, the point of Halloween is dressing up, as something else. So I think it looks really good. I think it wasn't a choice I would have ever thought of, but seeing it looks great. Yeah,
you did a nice job here. It's very cool. It's very stylish. As you can tell, I didn't remember a whole lot about Jenna, to be honest. I remember, I think I said when she hit main roster that she needed a lot of expansion in the dialogue and talking about herself, and she still talks a lot about synergy. I remember that was one of my big criticisms, is that she just felt like she was explaining how synergy worked the whole game to the exclusion of interacting with others. And I was disappointed because I didn't see any I didn't see much dialogue about the costume itself, but apparently that's not Soulheart RS's fault, that rests squarely at your feet, or you didn't give him the time.
I will take the blame for that. He had just enough time to fix her stripping lines, and that's about it. Maybe by next year he'll have a chance to flesh it out a bit more if he wants to. I would also say that dialogue-wise, that is still a fair criticism of she's a character that starts lore dumping immediately. I did notice that in my own test game with her, so Soul Heart, if you want something to do, you could try dialing that down a little bit more as well. Maybe like give her a few rounds before she's like, okay, so here's how Synergy works.
For those unfamiliar, if you're like Wibbly, a red mage is basically like in Final Fantasy. It's one of the original like 6 classes in the first game. It's basically it's the white mage with the healing magic, and then the black mage with attacking magic. And red mages can do both, and also have like physical weapons better than either of the other two. But they can't learn. They can't equip the best weapons, and they can't learn the best magic. So they're kind of jacks of all trades. Related to that, like if you wanted to give her costume specific dialogue, and you want to adapt all that talk of Synergy, you can talk about her. You can talk about like Golden Sun, like mixing different Jin and different classes and stuff like that. Because I know she's a bit of like an all rounder herself in the game, right?
I mean, most of the characters are all rounders.
Yeah, it's more about the Jin you assign them that decides their kind of role, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
It's one of those games. I mean, there are Final Fantasies that are like that, where the archetypes are pretty fluid. There's only minor differences between the characters. But yeah, anything else to say about Red Mage, Jenna?
I think it's good.
I'm very proud of the hat.
The hat does look baller.
It's a nice hat. Did you just draw that?
I just drew it. I just draw everything these days.
Yeah, it is a lot faster if you can match the style.
Although, speaking of that, I don't think I hand drew anything in this next costume.
I was going to say, are you responsible for this next one?
I am.
I should have figured. To end things off, we're going to talk about a little character that could. You may have heard of her. Monika from Doki Doki Literature Club. Fallen Angel, specifically. I know this was the whole question of alt skins last time when we talked about her in the summer, because Monika's gone through numerous model updates. She got one this year, a very nice, very detailed one, and now some of her alt skins are behind. But the summer one is fully on board with the latest model, and now she's a Halloween skin that's fully new as well. So that's her thing. She's a fallen angel with a very dark, dramatic dress and a nice fake halo. And apparently it's from this art. Is this official art?
Yeah, it's official artwork posted to celebrate the game on Halloween. So all 4 of the girls have costumes, but Cavendish has learned that I think Monika is best girl. Fuck you, fight me. And so he knows that just the mere temptation of making a new costume for her is enough to get me to contribute to her.
Jury gang rise up.
I wonder when. I don't know if Natsuki's ever going to see any more updates. I think there's in Emmy's epilogue. She shows up in that costume, that Monika Kaname costume, basically. Magical girl.
Natsuki got an update just the other day to target my newest character, but
Ooh.
we'll talk about them another day. For this
I wonder
one,
if Yuri will ever get that costume over on the left there. Anyway, what was the creative process for this Fallen Angel costume, or how to go and making it?
Well, it was pretty. I noticed right away that this is her first costume where she has her hair down all game, and that made things a bit easier to make the costume because I didn't have to mess around with her hair changing between multiple layers. I very much built it in reverse, so I did the later stages first and then worked my way back up. The wings were just default Kyouko assets, so that was quite serendipitous. And then it was just really building all of the dress from the ground up, because there's nothing really like this in Kyouko. Making the sleeves was a little bit of a challenge, because you don't really have those shoulderless sleeves that are still attached to the main body. So I consulted with Nomlet to get a bit of help with making those, so shoutouts to him for giving me a reference model to work with for those. Apart from that, I'm just quite happy with how it turned out. Has a couple of neat surprises to it. But yeah, what do you think, Wibbly? Give me your thoughts.
I like it. I think it's kind of got some funny irony to it as well, which I'm sure was the intention with the whole official artwork with it, especially with the name of Fallen Angel and all that stuff as well. I don't know, it feels like something she would wear, like for Halloween. I just get that vibe. And it is very good looking. I'm always impressed with everyone's Kisekai skills, and I feel like they've just continually improved over time. I was completely blown away when I got back from my break seeing some of the new outfits and stuff. But I think are the wings, are those a default thing? Did you make that from scratch?
Yeah.
How did that work?
Yeah, those were defaults. Kisuke has a couple of default wings. Like that one pair of Succubus wings that any, vampire or Succubus character has are Kisuke defaults.
Okay. What would you say was the hardest part? You mentioned the sleeves were challenging. Would you say those were the hardest as well, or was there...
yeah, that was
Hey, put some respect on Arushale's name, by the way. Those wings are not defaults.
True, fair. I misspoke. Not all of them, but
the ones that have the little tiny bat wings.
Yeah, like Maria's costume. I would definitely say the hardest part was the sleeves. Everything else just kind of fell into place pretty easily.
I haven't played with this one yet. Do you know if there's any new unique dialogue with it at all?
Spnanon will have to answer that because I didn't play test this one because I had made it.
That was one of my criticisms. It only seemed like she had a few alt lines here and there, and unlike Sofia and Roll, I couldn't really excuse it with the targets going on, and unlike with Jenna, I couldn't excuse it for not giving the writer enough time. So I only saw it occasionally on some stripping lines, etc. So not a whole lot going on there. I mean, even Monika's general affect, this kind of fits it in the first place, where she seems very refined, but also a little bit creepy. There's a weird undercurrent of evil, and it feels calculated. Very nice job on what you described with the dress, with the shoulder line, the bust line going all the way around the arms as well. I didn't even notice that was I can see that being a major issue, and I can see how you kind of handled it, probably pose by pose, I imagine. But the effect works well enough that I didn't notice it. It didn't look jank, especially where it was distracting. So I think you implemented that quite well. Even if it is if you look at it, it's technically separate pieces, because that is kind of a notorious pain in the ass stuff going around the shoulders and moving with the shoulders or with the legs for that matter. It can be difficult. I want to praise, once the dress and all the Halloween trappings are off as well, she has some nice unique under things. The pantyhose and the very tight panties underneath, the detailing there, the crotch is very prominent. The very slight panties as well. There's not much material there.
Low rise.
It almost looks like a bikini bottom. But very nice overall. Not much to it, but everything there is just is very well done, visually appealing. If I could even dare to say, just a bit spooky.
Ooh.
You don't mean that.
Anything else to say for either of you about Monika, Fallen Angel, or any of the 6 alt skins that we've covered this time? Because that will conclude the Halloween event for this year.
All right, say good job, everyone.
This time it was only 2/3. No, it was only 1/3 me this time, and it was 1/2. Just kidding.
Where would this game be without you two?
Yeah, I know.
Let's not answer that question. Let's just end on that scary thought.
No, I have more. There is one thing, which is I was in a voice call with David, and I mentioned to him 2 weeks before the Halloween event, I was like, yeah, I've not really started either of them. I need to stop procrastinating. And he thought I was joking until I clarified, no, I'm serious. I need to cram these. And he was like, I've been making Kyoko's one a month in advance. What have you been doing? You have 2 costumes to make. And something I forgot to mention earlier is I want to shout out Kyoko's sleeves, because she has a lot of custom sleeves going on here to really sell the bagginess of the outfit. So good job, David. I think it's my favorite costume for this year just because of the effort. Although all of them are pretty good.
I mean, just holding her arms out in front of herself, that's a custom arm. Forget the sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, nice foreshortening. Very nice job on all 6 of these. I don't think we have a dud. The worst you could say about them is that sometimes the dialogue's pretty unchanged, but they all look very nice. So another successful year. Halloween's always I'd say one of our bigger events. People come out for it, summer especially, and then sometimes Christmas. Although Christmas, a lot of them tend to be kind of samey. You know, they got Santa stuff going on, but Halloween's a big one, and I think it was definitely very successful. So enjoy the fall. Load up on turkey and fall asleep, and that way we can get into the Sleepover Event in a future episode, probably 105. So look forward to that. We'll have fewer dead zones in the year going forward because the Sleepover Event will be there to fill in those dead zones, and we'll have a steady supply of alt skins to talk about. So thanks for coming on, Nord, as always, and thank you for returning after 2 years, WibblyWarble, and we'll discuss some of your latest work in the next episode. Thanks very much once again. Any final comments from either of you?
Stay spooky.
All right, that's enough. Back in the hole.
Goodbye.